What's up, guys? So today on the podcast, as I'll talk about in a minute, we are going to talk about the whole situation with ADCC champion Orlando Sanchez and Sean Strickland, and
UFC fighter,
getting ready to headline a fight. And that whole fiasco that happened, it wasn't really that big of a deal, but got really viral on the internet. We'll talk about it, and some useful lessons both for on and off the mat, I think, come away from that, and some ideas on being a dick in the gym, and what defines a dick move, and training appropriately, and kind of my thoughts on what I think about the whole thing and what Eugene thinks about it. And so maybe you can make your own thoughts on it. Maybe I'll give you some ideas to think about for your training. So with that said, we'll get ready to jump into the podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors, Charlotte's Web. This past weekend, I was going down to I went and did a seminar just outside of St. Louis.
Yes.
I was really surprised about how fast St. Louis becomes very rural, like just outside of it, because St. Louis, Illinois, rather, right? Because it's Illinois and Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And just if you get outside of Missouri and go 20 minutes, it gets into it's very rural. That word rural. But I went to a buddy of mine. His name's Josh. And he had me out for his seminar with the students. Had a blast. Had a great time training. And I had a little injury recently where I got slammed on my shoulder, and I have Eugene thinks it's probably an SC and AC sprain.
Yeah,
probably
the way you landed.
Yeah, just kind of a super small grade one. It's already getting pretty good, but my shoulder was a little sore. Well, I hadn't rolled all week, and it was Saturday, and I was telling Jess, I think I feel pretty good. So I rolled once with I rolled with him for about 10, 15 minutes with Josh.
Were y'all going pretty hard, or were you going?
We started slow. So we started, and this will kind of goes into what we were talking about later on in this podcast. We kind of started off slow, and then we picked up the pace.
Yep.
And but I was a little sore afterwards, and so every time I posted this on my Instagram, I was like, every time I travel anywhere, I carry a couple things with me. One of them is Charlotte's Web. They have these little the gummies. I really like the gummies, the sleep ones, the raspberry with the melatonin, freaking my favorite. But these they sent us a bunch of little sample packs that I give away to some of my students and stuff like that. But I took a pack of these for Jess and I, because we love these things, and these make me sleep like a baby.
I love those too.
I love these, dude. What's interesting, as you get older, I feel like as you get older and you're training all the time and you drink a lot of water, it becomes harder and harder to sleep all the way through the night.
Oh yeah.
But I've recently been training that baby bladder.
Training your bladder.
You laugh, bro.
Don't they say it's
sleeping 7 hours a night straight?
Don't they say it's it's bad to hold your pee or something?
Bad to hold, but it's also bad to just toot too frequently.
Okay. Because I don't know. I'm not a urologist, so I don't
got
know.
this from a urologist.
All right, cool.
Think about this. If you never stress your muscle,
right? I understand that.
It's whatever. So you don't want to hold it where it's painful, but you don't want to go out of convenience where I'm getting ready to go. I should just probably use the bathroom now. And then it's a little trickle. Cause then it's you want it to get used to expanding.
Yeah.
Been sleeping 7 hours a night straight, bro. It's it's great. Which
I see a new product coming out. Bladder training,
right? Anyway, but again, this is part of my sleep regimen. I take the sleep gummies right before I go to bed, about 30 minutes to 40 minutes beforehand. And I love it. Big fan of it. And so I took that, and I took some of their CBD medic product. They have this balm.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic for dealing with some of the inflammation in different parts of my body. So anytime I go on a seminar, I always take it with me, because what ends up typically happening is, in this situation, I was already injured. And so I was going to roll a little bit. I kind of knew I was, and so I could rub it on afterwards. Well, even if I'm not injured, a lot of times I'll train really hard at seminars because, I'm there and I try to roll with as many people as I can. I'll wear myself out.
Yeah.
And so I rub it in my body wherever I feel like I need it. A lot of times my knees or shoulders and things like that. And so it's a fantastic product. I like it more than any balm. And again, as most of you guys know, if you've been listening to the podcast, one of the things I like about the Charlotte's Web products is, as a person I'm obsessed with trying to be precise about things.
Yeah.
My coffee, I weigh my beans. My food, I weigh my food, right? I know exactly what I'm getting into. When I'm training in Jiu-Jitsu, I'm very we were talking about this last night about being precise with your grips, not fumbling around for your grips. You want to be precise with those grips, right? I'm very precise. I want to be effective, and I want to be precise, because again, if you're not precise, you're being inefficient by and large, right? So one of the things I do like about the products is I can know what I'm putting in my body, because again, they're third-party tested, and in a sort of unregulated market, where you could basically put some stuff together and whop, there you go. Like, just like the old supplements used to be with, like, you'd see proprietary blend. Hey, we got some stuff in there, like it could be little or nothing of what's even in there just because of the way they wrapped it in. If you saw that movie Bigger, Stronger, Faster, so I like their stuff. And I like the fact that it's good quality stuff that's also measured to say this is what's in it. And that's actually what is in it.
Right.
But again, big fan of their stuff, and I love the sleep gummies. You guys know. And if you'd like to check out any of their stuff, whether it's their balms like I use or the sleep gummies like I use, or anything else they have on their website, you can go to charlesweb.com. Promo code is Chewjitsu until the end of June 2021. You can save 20% on the order. So again, you'll save an extra 5%. So if you want to try something out, this would be a great time to do it. Again, my encouragement, if you've never used any of their products, try the sleep gummies, go get them, and then simply try it out for a month. See what you think. If you like it, you're like, man, this was pretty good, then roll with it and just give it a whirl. But if it doesn't help you out or whatever, then, again, you don't have to get them, but you can make your own assessment and see what you personally think.
We had a good email. I'll read it real fast. It's from Rob.
Here, this is a legit testimonial, by the way. Like, here, you can see right there. It's like, put it up here.
You want it up here?
Yeah.
Right here. Put it right here.
I just
this camera.
Come over this way.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Right.
So right here.
I don't know if you can.
I don't know if you. There it
is.
So this is. I'm trying to cover up the guy's email. Oh, it's not his email. Right. So this is actually a legit. You can't see it. This is actually a legit.
Email we got.
I just say that because, again, it's not fake. But
so Rob said, first of all, he's been listening to the podcast for a while, and so we appreciate you doing that. He said, every time I hear you talk about Charles Web CBD and what it does for you or how it can help you recover, it makes me think. About a week ago, I finally caved and got the THC-free oil and some joint cream. I used the oil, and just after the first night, my joints felt better. Woke up without back pain and feel more energized in the morning. Again, this is not always typical results, but you should feel something eventually, after taking it for a little while, getting in your system.
That's why I say, come on, just give it a whirl.
And said my girlfriend used the ointment on her arthritic knee. She was skeptical, saying, I know this stuff doesn't work. And then I'm going to put it on and magically heal. And then after a half hour, she was pain-free and looked at me like it was miracle cream. Anyway, just want to say thank you and love the podcast and the channel. So Rob, thank you for that. We appreciate you, first of all, taking the time to write an email. But yeah, this stuff's like, again, everybody is going to be different and unique in how it affects them or how it impacts them. And it can be helpful and may not do anything. Again, be your own judge and, listen to your body, whatever helps you. So thanks to Rob for sending that in.
Like I said, it's not typical, but, try it out and see what you think.
Yeah. And some people said they slept better like the night after taking it. So
it just always depends. Yep. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Epic Roll. EpicRollBJJ.com is the website. And again, you guys know my thoughts on it. I actually did a video today because I talk about every podcast. I keep using the shorts, and I'm always so tickled with them because they're so comfortable. Yeah. And I was like showing a pair of my shorts that I've had for like 2 years, and they're just broken and the Velcro's gone. But again, if you guys have watched my videos or even seen some of my competition videos, you probably see me wearing some of Matt's gear, his shirts, his no-gi gear. There's even one with his gi. So again, I use his stuff. I have a couple of my students have his gis as well. I was at a seminar, and one of the guys had one of the gis that he had. Cool. Yeah. So again, I'm a big fan of his products. I'm a big fan of all the stuff that he makes, both the actual look of the designs, because the designs are simple and they're jiu-jitsu based, but at the same time, it's not gaudy. Again, it's a way that again, I've talked about this before. Like a lot of times back in the day, there was tap out, and then tap out was really cool. And if you were in the tap out, if anybody wore tap out like in the early 2000s, you guys were in this club instantly. You'd see, oh, you watch MMA, like it was, or you watch NHB, because it used to be NHB, and then you were in this club. Then it became like everybody had it. And then with things like Epic Roll, again, it's stuff where people are going to look at you strange, like they did the shirt Kimura and triangle choke. They look at it like, what is this? But you find one person that knows jiu-jitsu, and they're instantly going to be like, hey, what's up, bro? You train? Where do you train at? Right? It's instantly going to be this connection, because it's something we are going to understand that no one else understands. So it's almost like you're in this club, right? Because you've got something that someone else it wouldn't make sense to anyone else if they're not in jiu-jitsu, because in jiu-jitsu, we have this shared common language that we use with basically everything from acronyms and words and positions that make no sense to anyone else, but to us, we know exactly what we're talking about. You can literally, it's like you get around a bunch of military guys, they speak in acronyms and stuff like that, and I have no clue what they're even talking about. They're like, hey man, I was stationed on this FOB fob, and this was my MOS or whatever. It's like, what are you guys talking about? But But again, I'm a big fan of his stuff. If you want to check out some of his t-shirts, his shorts, he's got a cool fanny pack. I put that fanny pack to practice this weekend.
Good job.
Yeah, I did. I even asked Josh, like, where do you wear your fanny pack? And he wears it like on the side, like right here.
Oh, he's an in-betweener.
He's in between. Better than being in the back where you can't
I
reach
wear it kind of on the side too sometimes. It's just how I feel. Mood.
He put his fanny pack on the back of his fanny. It locks on your fanny, but the pack is in the front, but it locks on the fanny.
Sometimes you wear a hat forward, sometimes you wear it backwards, right?
Not if you want to get into it. Like
your hat. I'm
talking about your fanny pack.
But
like, if you want to get it, there's no like it needs to be reachable. You know what I love doing? I love carrying stuff around me that I might need, not being able to reach for it quickly.
It literally takes a second.
What did we just talk about? Precision, Eugene. Precise. Having to move it around is inefficient. So if you would like to get any of his stuff at Matt's, if you'd like to wear some really cool gear, if you'd like to get a hold of some good quality no-gi gear, some nice t-shirts, stuff like that to represent some jiu-jitsu, check it out at epicrollbjj.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu. Save 15% on the order. Also, guys, I wanted to give you guys a heads up of something I've got going on August 27th and 29th. I'm going to be doing something special. So this past weekend, when Jess and I were coming back from the competition or the seminar, this post in the Jiu-Jitsu fans of Jiu-Jitsu Facebook group. Yeah. Everybody's talking about making trips out to the gym. And this is something that's been going on for a while where like people say, I want to go there. I want to check it out, but people don't get around to it. Cause again, Louisville's not necessarily the hotspot destination for everyone. I was thinking about doing this thing back in 2020 until Captain COVID hit. Captain COVID. And so what happened is I was thinking about running a camp at my gym. Basically, it'd be for the students, of course, but then I was going to have a limited number of spots available for people online because I know a lot of people watch the videos and they want to come to the gym and train on the blue and gray mats with me and the team. So I was like, let's give you guys a reason to do it. So I was going to run a camp. Well, March 13th was when we had to close our gym down. Yes. So instead of spending March 13th is my birthday, by the way. So instead of spending my birthday, rolling and eating a big dinner, I was like basically staring off and like I was sitting in a field like on a hike, and I just sat there and was like, this sucks. I was like, what's going to happen, right?
Contemplating your life,
contemplating everything, right? But with everything kind of getting back to some sense of normalcy, I'm going to put a camp together. And so on August the 27th through the 29th, Friday to Sunday, we're going to run a camp at my gym. Now, this is going to include obviously jiu-jitsu training, and we'll have some group hangouts, some sort of food and hangout type thing. And we'll be doing some other things. Some of you guys that are on my email list, which you can get on at jiujitsu.net, you'll know about. Some of the other things that we're going to do, some other surprises. But if you guys want to find out more details on that, join my email list, and you can do that by going to jiujitsu.net. If you follow me on social media, then just look on social media somewhere. But those are the two places, and you'll probably see something pop up about it. And if you follow me on social media, still join my email list, because again, that's where, like, it happens all the time. I had a ton of people say, hey, Chewy, I follow you on Instagram or Facebook, but I missed your gi sale and I really wanted to buy the gi. I'm like, are you on my email list? Like, no. I'm like, well, that's where you need to be, because that's where I send people the messages every single day. And if I've got something coming up, that's where it's going to be. Right. And I don't expect you to read every email, but again, if you want to find out what's going on, that's the place to be. So we're going to do some cool stuff on the 27th and 29th of August, 2021. So if you guys want to be a part of that, check it out. And yeah, guys, also, if you want to support the podcast, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, where you can get some of all the content that we upload there as well. And guys, with that said, let's jump into the podcast. What's up, guys? So today on the podcast, it's been a big request from mine. So I did a video on this, and obviously we're doing a podcast because I've got a bunch of messages from people. I don't know if you did. I got a bunch of messages from people, even my students too. Recently, there was a viral video. Also, let's rewind a little bit. As a guy with several YouTube videos on his channel talking about the idea of dick moves, everybody was sending me messages, right? Most of you guys probably know why. So there was that video, the viral video with Orlando Sanchez, ADCC champion, and Sean Strickland. And the UFC fighters getting ready to headline a card, and they released this clip, and this clip shows big Orlando coming out there, and Sean's got an underhook, and then Orlando sort of yanks the arm to the side. It looks like it kind of jacks up his elbow a little bit. Sean kicks him and strikes him, whatever, and then afterwards they exchange words. Eventually Sean gets out of the ring, and then that's kind of where the clip ends, right? So we see that whatever, however few minutes it was like a couple minutes. Or
I can show it right now if you guys want to see it real quick. We'll just play it.
So if you're watching the instant.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on.
You're my brother. There it is.
Yeah, so we'll see it right here.
Yeah, so Sean's got the underhook, and Orlando's really throwing that overhook, man.
Yeah.
He's not being nice about it at all. He's shoving around a little bit.
So he gets that little kind of lazy underhook.
Yeah.
And right there, the right,
boom,
right there. And I was impressed with Orlando's like.
Why, bro? Why?
I like the Orlando. He's like,
chill.
he's just like, hey, bro, what's going on? He just threw punches at him. He's like, man, what's up? Just walked through, completely calm.
Dude, but I was impressed with his blocking.
Well, he blocked, but the fact that Orlando didn't get angry, he just walked forward. Hey, what's up, dude? What's up, bro?
What did I do?
That kind of thing. So let's talk about it.
We're gonna go one more time. I'll cut this video. Okay. We'll do it one more time, just to the move real fast.
So and in just a second, guys, what we'll do is we'll talk about.
Here goes again.
Okay.
And right there.
Look at that block. Why? He's trained some MMA. So check this out. So let's talk about two things. One, we're going to talk about more, but let's talk about the situation itself. And then we'll talk about the idea of dick moves and training and being a good training partner. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a softie when it comes to jiu-jitsu training, right? Like, we can get rowdy and have been rowdy. And we'll talk about the sort of what I view being dick moves and or using dick moves and training, that kind of thing. So let's talk about the situation first. I'll share my opinions on it. First off, the video should have never been released, because when my student actually, because for as much as I'm on social media, and you guys probably know this, I don't hang out there all that often. Like, I don't sit and scroll endlessly, so I miss a lot of stuff. People are like, hey, Chewy, did you see this? Like, a lot of times my students bring me the viral stuff, right, when it pops up. So one of my guys brought it up to me. He said, Chewy, have you seen this video? I was like, no, I haven't seen it. Let's watch it. So we watch it, and he's like, what do you think about that? And I told him, I was like, I don't know enough about it, because I don't know what happened at the beginning. I don't know what happened afterwards, right? And that's important because, for instance, if anybody, kept their eyes open last year, as an example, with the media and the political machines doing what they were, I watched several videos where they would literally manipulate the videos into clips. And, like, one political outlet that's on one end of the political spectrum, one media outlet that's one political end of the spectrum, they would release the clip that had been manipulated to serve their purposes. And then the other side of the political spectrum would have a show, and they would clip it around, manipulate it to use it for their perspectives, their ideas. Yep. And so I was like, nah, I'm not getting sucked into clip culture, right? And this is a valuable lesson. Don't get sucked into clip culture. Like, if you see a clip, you got to wait a little bit and say, like, let me know more about what's going on. I saw the tail end of something, because from the moment the video starts, they're already locking up pretty hard. I'm like, something's going on, right?
He was breaking those the grips off, and he's fighting off those grips. He's doing it very aggressively, and he's a big dude and he's strong. He can get the point across without doing that.
Right. And here's the thing. I've actually competed against Orlando once. I think it was one of his first black belt matches. I think it's what he said. I remember seeing him, and he's a big guy. Oh, yeah. Short, but he's really thick. And I looked at him, I was like, all right, I'm gonna 10-minute match. I'm gonna play conservative for 5 minutes. Second 5 minutes, I'm gonna turn it up on him and wear this big guy out. Only that's not what happened. 5 minutes into it, I go for an arm drag, and I get the arm drag. He's up 2 points at this point. I get the arm drag, and I'm kind of coming up a little bit. He immediately bounces up away from me and turns right back and pile drives into me. And I remember I was in disbelief. I'm like, how is this man moving so fast? He's so big. And then, he ended up beating me with those 2 points, and I couldn't do much to him. But he was rough, but he wasn't dirty. He wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
I've seen him compete before. I've seen him be rough, but I've never seen him do anything dirty or cheap. He was a very much a gentleman with very much a sportsman. You know,
Yeah.
so I was like, you know, he's always been cool to me. And so with that, like I watch this, and also you got to think he's also helped guys like Fabricio Verdun get ready for fights.
Right.
So when I'm watching this, when I first saw the clip, I was like, man, he's being kind of rough to a guy who's getting ready to headline a fight. Because when you have someone in your gym who's getting ready to fight, you purposely back off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like, for instance, like even if I have a guy getting ready for a fight a month out, I'll sometimes ease up so that they get the better of me more so than they usually do. So they feel like, oh man, I'm getting better. You know, this way they feel confident, because confidence is a big thing.
Sure.
So I want them to be confident. I'm not going to risk injury.
One thing I think that Sean is not a regular at that gym.
He's not,
I don't think
we're
either
gonna
one of them.
We're going to get there.
Because they didn't really know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're going to get there.
All right.
And so I don't know what's going with this clip.
Right.
I see a minute of it. And, you know, the everybody instantly, and this is like I was telling my students this morning, I was like, people are just bored. Right. Like, for instance, I have too much stuff going on. I don't care. Like what happened in their gyms, what happened in their gym. By the way, if any of you guys, I heard people like criticizing about the roughness or whatever, this and that. I'm like, and even guys with egos and stuff like that. If you've ever trained professionally, not a couple days a week, but professionally, whether MMA or grappling, this kind of stuff happens sometimes where people butt heads. I've been a part of them before, where literally if you had taken a clip out of context, you would probably think we hated each other, trading partners for years, everything's fine. So later on, Orlando comes out and he says, hey, listen, here's what happened. First off, they made up fine afterwards. They have no animosity towards each other. Mm-hmm. Everything was good. They just kind of like butted heads for a minute, and, you know, it happens sometimes. And as men, it's what we do. We kind of butt heads a little bit. I know that sometimes in this like soft modern culture, everybody like with physical, like a physical check, sometimes like, ooh, that's so not me. And that's not nice. Of course it's not nice, but men need physical checks sometimes. Like for me, like when I first started training, I remember coming in there thinking I was going to be a blue belt. I told my coach, I was like, I'm going to be a blue belt. Yeah. They didn't do anything nasty to me, but they kicked my butt. And I'm glad they did. Put my damn ego in check and made me line up and say, okay, I need to learn this, right? It's a good thing, especially for boneheads like me. We need to be like physically checked. It's not a bad thing, especially in a sport where it's very physical. So the situation that Orlando said, if you're going to take him for his word, which I have no reason to disbelieve him, right?
Yeah.
Says that he's never met this guy. Like you were saying, never met the dude. And then the guy's there and like one of his buddies says, hey, Orlando, go train with this guy. Hey, Sean, this is a jiu-jitsu, you know, world champion. And apparently Sean kind of motioned, if you guys seen that recent corn on the cob butter, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. But basically, you know, Sean basically motions like he's like jerking off, like, hey, look, you know, your jiu-jitsu means nothing.
Yeah.
All you guys know what that looks like. And
or
then,
your titles mean nothing and what you've accomplished. Because I think he's won ADCC as well.
Oh, you know, he's won ADCC.
Orlando has,
And he's won some IBJJF tournaments. He's a very accomplished grappler.
Yeah. He's
for a big guy, I mean, he can move. You know, and then like he does stuff that I do, like little hopovers and stuff.
Yes.
And he does it and he's like 300 pounds. It's ridiculous. I've never seen a guy his size move like that.
When I've seen him compete or train, that's probably the piece that really blew me away. Obviously he's going to be strong. He's going to have good technique. And he's trained long enough, and he's been in some of these, you know, Fabrizio Verdun's corner, so he's obviously legit. But like his mobility, his like explosiveness, his like athletic ability,
for his look,
for his size.
What I'm saying is, like, for instance, if you saw like, for instance, like Muhammad, huge guy,
Muhammad Ali,
Muhammad Ali, huge guy, when he's all mobile and stuff, you look at the dude, he's like an action figure. You kind of expect it, right? You can,
but it's still hard to like fathom. Like
it's hard to fathom.
He's so big,
right? It's hard to fathom, but like you get it. But Orlando is deceptively like he just looks like a thick dude, right? But then you see him bounce around, and you're like because again, like when I saw him the first time, I looked at him, and was like, just kind of looks like a thick dude. Looks like he's gonna be strong, but whatever. But then he starts moving, and he's got a good gas tank. Doesn't make any sense. But
freak.
Yeah, you know. So but you know, so Sean comes in there, they say, hey, go roll. And Sean says apparently to him that like basically your jiu-jitsu sucks or it doesn't mean anything, and I'm gonna kick your ass. So going into the match, going into the roll, you have a guy, first off, if you're a month out from a headlining fight, you shouldn't be rolling with anyone you don't know. That's my take.
That's a great point.
I like, for me, like, you know, if I was fighting, there's no way I'm rolling with anybody I don't know, because like at that point you're so close to the match. It's different with jiu-jitsu sometimes, but it's when you're fighting, you're so close, you cannot afford one little thing to go wrong.
That's true. But think about this though. We talked about building somebody up. He's a month out. He's probably riding a high. He's won 4 fights in a row.
Right.
This dude thinks he's just untouchable. He's like, I don't care what credentials you have. I'm gonna fuck you up.
But
but it's a big but.
Yeah.
Because then you mess with the wrong dude. And
Well, so check this out. Listen, I got a pro tip for you guys. I know we got a lot of newer people in jiu-jitsu, like white belts, blue belts, and things like that listen to this. We got a lot of other people, but I got a pro tip for you. This is from Chewy to you. Okay. This is a writer downer. Okay. All right. If you go into a gym, do not find a 300-pound man who may be a jiu-jitsu world champion and tell him his jiu-jitsu sucks and then expect a smooth roll.
This is not a pro tip at all.
That is a pro tip, bro. That is a pro tip. Like that will save you some trouble. Okay. Don't come in there and talk trash to someone and then expect to have like a nice smooth roll or for someone to give a damn about taking care of you. I mean, I've had guys come into my gym, right? Especially back in the day. Like
this is me crossing out what I was about to write.
You can write it down.
White belt pro tip, and then
bro, it's a good pro tip. All right, because
that's a life tip, man.
That's a life tip.
You don't do that shit to anybody that's that big, and if you're untrained,
the thing is, don't talk trash to people and expect them to be nice to you. Especially like, okay, you're gonna get like, we'll talk about the move, but he gets angry at him for like jacking his arm up. Well, it's like, why'd you talk trash to him in the first place? Like, don't expect them to be nice to you, right? So, I mean, I've had people come into my gym who were MMA guys, and they were kind of running the mouth, talking about like, oh yeah, jiu-jitsu, whatever, they're kind of degrading it, or even degrading like my abilities as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm like, cool, let's roll. And I was not nice to them. And by night, I mean, I wasn't doing anything that was dirty or that was outside of the scope of grappling. But in grappling, as we'll talk about later, there's things I do in competition that I don't do in the gym. Right? Because I got to take care of my guys, take care of my training partners. So there's things I'm going to do in the gym or things I do in competition I'm not going to do in the gym. Well, you don't talk trash. Cool. The gloves are off. I'm going to teach you a lesson because you're being rude. Right? And again, most of you probably agree. If you've been training long enough, this is probably not anyone that's trained jiu-jitsu long enough knows about kind of like this unwritten enforcing rule. You just know about it. It is what it is. If this offends you in some way, just think about this. Imagine that you're working at your office. Everybody's had that moment where you've been working, let's say you're working in your cubicle, your office or whatever, and one of your coworkers comes in and they get under your skin. If you could, you'd probably want to like maybe give them a little slam or something, right? Basically,
a little strangle.
That this is my workplace. So imagine someone comes to my work. Only the thing is I get to get physical with you, right? So everybody wants to get physical sometimes, but you don't have the outlet because if left unchecked, people would probably have a situation. I remember in corporate settings, sometimes some guy would like, be a complete jerk, and basically could hide behind, the safety of society, right? Well, it's like. But if that dude was in my gym, I'd be all over him, right? Well, I get to be all over him. So, but people come in and being rude, and now sometimes it ends up great because it checks them. Yeah. And then they chill out, right? And they lose that kind of that because a lot of times that ego comes from an insecurity place. And then if not, they leave. And I don't want those people around anyway. So going back to it, so he talks trash from wherever they roll, and then they start grappling, and so that's where the clip comes in. And afterwards, they settle down, and apparently Sean apologized, and it's all good, right? So to kind of get into it, first things we should have never seen the video. Training between people like that in that situation, that is between them. And if they wanted to post it, they should have showed it later on that they made up or whatever. That doesn't create drama, of course, right? That doesn't kind of create a buzz.
Yeah, like they had like 5 million views in first day.
Because
crazy.
Because people are like, I say this, if you're like I was telling my students, it's like people are scrolling, like they're just sitting there scrolling around. Like we don't have in a society, in our Western society, things are just so easy, right? Like, I mean, we can say that they're quote hard, but if you've got an hour or two to spend just scrolling through the internet, you really don't have hard problems because if you're scavenging for food, you don't have time to scroll on the internet, right? So our problems are relatively hard, maybe, right? But not real hard, right? Not real hard.
Not as hard as they used to be.
Right. So we're sitting there scrolling, and then a lot of people are just bored. So they see that and they get sucked into the drama of it. And it's exciting, right? Ooh, this thing's going on, right? For me, I saw, like, I don't care. I got stuff to do. I got way too much on my plate to worry about. I'm trying to do this stuff and trying to develop myself. I don't care about what happened in someone's gym, right? I mean, it's like I have my opinion about it maybe, but I don't care. Right? But I get it. You know, it's a drama. So it's probably released for that purpose, right? Like,
I think so.
we're going to get people sucked into this one, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's exciting. And because you don't realize that, oh, they made up. Because if you would have seen them made up, it would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Like they made up. It wouldn't have been nearly as interesting. But because you don't know, you're like, what happened? You know, and then everybody's filling in the blanks. Like you saw people were saying, oh, why would he do this during a training camp? It wasn't part of a training camp, right? You know, like why would he do this to a guy he was helping get ready for a fight? He wasn't helping him get ready for a fight, right? That kind of thing. So that's my spiel on it first. Okay. Second thing is, let's talk about the dick moves. Was it a dick move? So what do you think?
I'd say depends on context. It depends.
So
it depends.
Hold on. In that situation, so I'll tell you exactly what I think.
Okay.
In that context, do you think what he did was a dick move?
If I just saw the video
As it is, you know all the facts around it.
Now thinking about it,
yeah.
No.
I think it was a dick move.
You still think it was?
I think, but you know what though? I don't care.
You think it was justified?
I don't want to say justified because you don't have to do it.
Okay.
But my thing is I make no judgment upon you because someone talked trash to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my problem.
I think when you do that, you say I'm gonna mess you up or whatever he said, he basically threatened him. So to me, that's cool. Like I'm not gonna be nice to you at that point. If you say like I'm gonna beat your ass kind of thing, like why would I be in that situation?
And it's
not
different
a dick move.
and it's different if we're buddies. Like if you know, because you might say I'm gonna get you today or whatever. That's a different thing.
That's different. That's
but
probably not a move I would do.
But say some person you've never met before tells you that. See, like my thing is the dick move or whatever. I still think it's as far as training goes, it's still a dick move to do.
It is.
The only difference is that I don't view it in a negative light. Had he done that to like, let's say that they had been training for like months together and he knew he was getting ready for his UFC fight and he started doing that stuff. I'd be like, bro,
100%.
Like take it easy on him. Like don't get him hurt.
Agree.
But because of the situation, it's still a dick move because the intention was to rough him up a little bit. There was no, I'll talk about this in a second with the definition that I have, but at the same time, I guess you would say justified or warranted. Like you brung it upon yourself by talking trash in the beginning.
Yep.
Simple as that. Right. Because just like I was saying earlier, in situations where I've been in like, you know, the same situation where some person was rude to me or talked trash before we got into it. It's like, okay, like, cool, let's do it. Like, you know, at that point, I'm not really too worried about how you feel anymore.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll tell you that I think you got to take obviously the individuals into account, but also Orlando could have probably broke his arm.
Oh, Orlando, dude! If Orlando
could have, so that's a dick move to me. If you really want a dick move, you sprain it or you really damage him. Yeah. He did it enough. I told you. I went like a couple inches. Like I did it enough to where I wanted to let you know what's up.
Exactly.
And so to me, yes, if it's just completely you're just training buddies and you're just doing that, those are moves that really don't give you a lot of time to tap and they hurt and they can make you pretty sore. And if somebody doesn't apply them correctly or too correctly, I guess, you can really hurt someone. Yeah. Now, in that situation, everything that we hear, the context of it, it's not a dick move. It's warranted. Yeah. Like,
well, I see. The thing is here's the problem. I still think it's a dick move. Like, so the thing is whether or not it is or isn't, like that to me is like, we'll talk about what that means. To me, it's like whether or not it's a dick move or not doesn't change. What changes is what brought it about, right? What brought it about is you needed to be physically checked because you're coming in there talking trash to a guy who's a world champion. Don't talk trash to someone in a combat sport and then all of a sudden expect to have a nice training session, right? Like if you went into a boxing gym, like especially old school boxing gyms, and went in there and said, yeah, your boxing sucks. You guys can't touch me. Don't expect them to be nice. Yeah. I've seen it happen before, dude. Don't expect it to go nice for you. Right. Like, because it's like, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's talking trash about, oh, cool, man, let's go. Like they're going to probably,
I think the key thing that you brought up is we can argue if it's a dick move or not. Some people say yes, people say no, depends on context. I think what it comes down to is, was it warranted?
Well, no, let's go back.
All right.
Let's talk about what is a dick move. Okay. Because to me, this is why it doesn't change. Whether or not it's nice, whether it's warranted or not, like, to me, it's still a dick move. And the thing is I say dick move. It's not necessarily dick moves. It's really what it really comes down to is more dangerous techniques, not necessarily a dick move. It becomes a dick move in training because we don't want to risk our training partner's health. Right. And it's a dick move or a dickhead thing to, put your partner in a unnecessarily high level of risk for a low reward, right? I tapped him out once, big deal, like one training session, and you injured him. That's not good. So check us out. Here's my idea of what dick moves are. First off, it's a move that you cannot apply with control. I say slow sometimes, but really I don't mean slow, because like when you think of slow, you think of like sloth or something. It's still very quick, but what I mean is with control. So for instance, an arm bar, you can kind of get some control towards the end of that arm bar. Now you can still do it very quickly, but you have some control at the end range yeah, exactly. So basically you have control at that end range where you can control it and say, hey, I got you, right? So the person has a second or two to tap, right? Opposed to just sitting back and whack, yanking it back. Also, techniques that could be considered in this realm of dangerous and not having a lot of control, jumping guard, leg scissor takedowns, things like that, where like there's a really high risk of injury. It's fine to drill them for competition if you want to do them, but they're dangerous. And it's not something like, again, it's always comes down to the risk reward. What is the risk of doing a guard jump on a random mat day? Or what's the risk of doing a leg scissor takedown? Like your reward might be that you get guard. Your reward might be that you get a heel hook and get a submission. Risk, you might rupture like a ligament in their leg very easily. It happens all the time, even in high level competition. So that's the risk. I don't like that exchange, right?
Gotcha.
Where you can always pull guard if you want to get to guard, and there's always other ways to get to the heel hook. Now, for the leg scissor, you can practice it and get ready for competition. It's just not something you want to do too much in the gym during rolling, right? Okay. But as an example. Now, the other thing is that you have to define what the intention is. Okay. So for instance, there was a psychologist, Arnold Buss, who had this idea of aggression. And he said there was essentially two types of aggression. You have aggression where the purpose of whatever it is that you're doing is to cause physical harm and injure or hurt. The other form, which we would almost consider assertiveness, is you're doing something, you could be doing the same thing, but the greater goal is something else. It's not to do physical harm, it's to achieve a greater goal. So here's an example of like things that maybe people would consider dick moves that I don't necessarily, depending on the intention. Last night I was rolling with one of my female purple belts. She was grinding her forearm across my face. My hand came up, she began to attack my arm. So she was getting my hand to come up to attack my arm. Okay. She's grinding my forearm or my face. Is it a dick move? Right? It's not a dick. There was a greater technical aim. She was doing it to get something to happen. So to me, it wasn't a dick move. It was rough, but hey, we were not playing patty cake. Now, had my arm come up or had I started to move and she continued to just grind her forearm and elbow into my face, to me, that'd be a dick move because there is no intention other than to hurt me. Same thing with, I had my 13-year-old student, Brandon. I call him man-child. He's like as tall as me and he's like 13. Huge. So he was rolling me. He started my back at one point. He was, bringing his forearm across my nose to lift my chin up to get under my neck. Not a dick move. Now, if he'd done this and just started like wrenching my face around and not really going for a submission, to me, it's kind of a dick move because there's no technical aim. We're not using it for any other reason other than to hurt. Even like I do that thrust choke to get out of guard. Like I'll where I put my fist right in your neck, super uncomfortable. Doesn't feel good. As soon as your guard opens, I'm out. I let go. But if you opened your guard and I just kept jamming my fist into your throat, it's kind of a dick move. Yeah. Right. Because again, there's no technical aim to it. I'm not achieving the greater goal of jiu-jitsu, which is to advance position, submit you. I'm just doing harm, doing damage and doing meanness, that kind of thing. So that's kind of one of the other things. And so I think for that move, those are my working definitions, if you will. So there are things that will go into that more less control, highly dangerous category or whatever it might be that I won't use in the gym. If ever, very often, but if ever, that I may break out in competition, right? Now, I still don't want to grind people's forearms or anything like that, but like I might be a little bit more rough, right? In competition than I am in the gym. But under those kind of circumstances, when you look at the move, it was very quick. And if he really wanted to finish it, I think he could. But he kind of gave the arm a little torque and he didn't feel good. There's not really a way to slowly do that. It almost reminds me of a different variation of that Shinyaoki armbar that he did in, I think it was in a Shoto or something. Where he was doing it with an overhook, but he whipped and broke the guy's arm. Yeah. Literally broke it. You heard a snap and broke it.
Well, but that's an MMA fight.
Right. That's the fight though. Right. And so to me, it's like, hey, it's a fight, whatever, you
do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Right.
Within the rules. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's even in MMA. So like when I was fighting in MMA, I would do things that would be considered kind of mean and aggressive. Like I'd be pounding people's face in, but it was never to hurt them necessarily. I mean, I had to hurt them, yes, but I was doing that, but the intention was to win. So as soon as the ref said stop or the bell dinged, I was done. Light switch off. It was it wasn't because I was trying to hurt the person. I was trying to win the match. But in the training environment right there, right, where he like snapped, it was kind of quick. And then the other thing is I think it was done with the intention to rough him up a little bit and not so much try to advance position and submit him, but let him know, hey, you want to talk trash? Let's go, dude. And so in that situation, I kind of put it into that kind of category where, yeah, you're being a little bit of a dickhead. But in that situation, again, to me, it's like I bear no judgment because I can't, because I've done similar things where I've been a little bit more rough with someone who talked trash, because I know people like to always put out these moral arguments. I'm like, that always bothers me where people like instantly want to like point the finger, and I'm like, have you ever thought about what you do as a person? And ever like before you try to point your finger at someone, do you ever take like that insight, that look that you're giving them and say, you know what, let me take that gaze and put it back towards me. It would be so much better as far as serving the world if everybody like really looked at their own garbage and said, before I start pointing the finger at everybody else, let me think about how I'm messed up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But everybody loves to point the finger at other people. We love to try to fix other people's problems and not fix our own. Right. Like I'll see people, oh, let me tell you how to lose weight. It's like, bro, you're overweight. Like you should lose weight and then talk about it, right? Or you know what I mean? Like there's all this stuff where people want to point the finger at other people and make a moral argument. I'm like, well, what have you done that's sort of messed up? What if when you lost your cool or you did something that was clipped up and then put on the internet? How then what are you going to do, right? Yeah. It's like we all mess up as humans. We all have our good and bad sides, right? So, I'm not going to place a moral judgment on it, but I think it was a dick move. But at the same time, like we were saying, don't talk trash to a 300-pound man who might be a world champion. So expect him to be nice.
Here's a question for you.
All right, what's up?
Got two. These are kind of, one is directly towards that video.
Yeah.
And one is for MMA in general. Was Sean's response a dick move? He threw punches. It was a grappling match, or they were grappling. He threw a kick or a spinning back fist and a kick. Was his response, was it warranted? Was that a dick move?
I've had guys
like dude didn't have if Orlando didn't have much experience as an MMA fighter. Like I think he may have expected some type of response, but his arms were down, dude. He could have like literally knocked him out.
And hats off to Orlando, because Orlando, like he was cool as cucumber. So he throws a punch. He's like, hey bro, what are you doing? This is grappling.
It's so funny.
And he knows what he did, of course. But again, he was in control. Right, because he was in control from the whole situation. Because again, you got to think about that, right? Like this dude comes talking trash to you, he could have gotten really heated, and he could have got heated, but he was in control. That's some pretty good self awareness, right?
So
there.
was Sean's response, Sean Strickland's response, was that a dick move?
Well, it was a dick move. It
was to throw punches in.
It was a dick move. It was a dick move to go in and do that. And it was a dick move to get in there and like try to hit him. Yes. I mean, maybe the backhand, whatever, but then you kicked him too.
Well, the kick was more into the stomach.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, but you already hit him once. Now you got to kick him. Like
he blocked it, actually blocked them both.
We blocked them both, but I'm just saying
good defense.
But he did the right thing too when he eventually walked out. That's what it should have been. It's like, okay, like
he's like, I don't need to risk it kind of thing.
Don't need to risk it. And also if you're in a situation where you're pissed, just walk away. I've had to do this before.
Sure.
Like I've had situations where like maybe someone I've had someone where like someone accidentally did something. I'm like, damn it, dude. Like, and I just like, I got to cool off.
I've got the one. You got kicked in the nuts. I think somebody was trying to take your back. It was like a white belt or it's somebody that was, they were just not controlled.
Yeah, right.
And you kind of had warned, you're like, hey, like, let's, chill, be controlled. And then like they start rolling, they get crazy. They kick you in the balls and you just like, you got up and you had this face and you walked on. And I've seen you, you've seen angry, but I've never seen you really like, I've seen you roll hard before, but I never really seen you like, because I mean, obviously it's like, that you're a black belt that's very experienced versus a white belt. That means it's not going to be
right. It's not going to be
much of anything.
Right.
But yeah, so you've done that before numerous times. Like you've honestly
take a walk,
and that's a great, that's a great response. That's a great response because sometimes I've had the situation where like I'm like, hey, the white belt asked me to roll, and I was like, I'm kind of injured, my shoulder's kind of messed up.
And then they go right for Kimura,
and they like just go really. He's like, yeah, I'll take it easy, and they go really aggressive and go after my shoulder, and so I get pissed. So what I do, I kind of rough them up, and then And then I go to you afterwards, like, dude, I roughed this white belt up a little bit, but I was pissed. And you're like, well, you know.
I mean, dude, I rolled, dude, a couple of years ago, I rolled with a guy who, like, I was at another gym. He told me, hey, man, listen, my neck's hurt, like, or he's my ribs or something's hurting. And he's like, I can't roll very hard, so if you'll just take it easy. And I was like, sure, man, we can, because you know me, I can flow. Sure, I can flow great. Like, we can just flow and move, no problem. First thing he does is he puts me in this friggin' really like hard neck crank. Yep. Like, I was like, bro, and like it gave me a couple like crunches. Yeah. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, so then like I went harder that time, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I was within control. And this is a thing. I think one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu and combat sports is, you know, they talk about this all the time. Like, you know, you'll talk, if you read Carl Jung, and you read like Jordan Peterson, they share this idea, right? Like, so Jung would talk about integrating the shadow. Basically all the dark sides of yourself, integrate, like don't act like it's not there, because we all got it. We all have a shadow, but people try to act like they don't have one. Like, I'm a good person. Like, we're all good people relatively, but I mean, sure, there's some bad stuff in most of us. We all got some bad sides. But,
all of us.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, not most of us, all of us. But but getting in there and seeing what your shadow is, where are your problems? Because we all got them. Where are yours? Right. And then Jordan Peterson talks about this idea of like, you can't be a man of peace unless you can be a man of like, he words it in a way, but basically be able to do violence, right? So you don't really know who you are until you've gotten to one of those points where you're heated and you want to like just clobber someone. And then you wait a second, then you notice it and you go, oh, hey, I need to chill, right? Because that's a beautiful thing, because here's the thing, awareness in itself is transformative. Because think about that. If you just become aware of that, where you're like, oh, dude, I just got really angry, and you know what your triggers are, and you know, okay, this typically triggers anger in me when this happens, so I can be ready for it. So then when it happens, you can be like, I need to take a walk. I need to go breathe. I need to do whatever. And this can be good for, you know, obviously on the mat, but every single one of us has probably been, I'm using the word probably, every single one of us has been in a situation when we're in our daily life where maybe our wife, our husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, family members, whatever, do something to us at work where we react emotionally and we later on regret it. We did something and then later on we're having to apologize and we're like, sorry about that, I didn't mean to. Or you go back and you're like, God, I feel like such a bad person because, you know, that kind of, we've all done that.
100%.
Right. Everyone's done that. But when you're in the mats, when you're boxing, doing MMA, whatever, when you get to these points, it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be in control of you, to say, okay, like, just like I get mad on the mats, you can feel it coming up. Let's say, you know, you're talking to your family member, wife, whatever it might be, girl, husband, and then they do something and then you want to become irrationally angry. You feel the anger coming up. You see it, you feel it, you become aware of it. It's like, oh, wait a second, just like an arm bar. You get good at feeling the arm bar coming. You feel good, someone pulling your arm. Oh, you know the arm bar is coming, you can defend it. Right. So you get good at noticing when you are beginning to lose control to emotion, and you can check it and say, hold on a second. All right, I need to relax a little bit, and I need to I need to react from a place of logic and objectivity rather than emotion. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so again, this has helped me numerous times, because I used to, I'll tell you right now, when I was younger, I used to have a bad temper. I used to really, like, when I would get angry, I would become very rough rolling. If people knew me way back in the day, then they know that person, where I'd get really like rough and stuff like that. But as I got older, I wanted to be in control of it. And I remember kind of my, one of my like feathers in the cap, if you will, like a good test. Rolling one day, I shoot in for a takedown. I shoot in for a fireman's carry, right? With the gi on, kataguruma for you guys that do judo. Shoot in, and the person like literally accidentally knees me. Doesn't mean to, but his knee pops up and he literally knees me. He'd been doing MMA training, so I think that's what it was. Just a reaction.
Oh, like he's so kneed. It wasn't like just.
It wasn't an accident. No, he literally, his knee came up and I was shooting. Boom. I wasn't expecting it. My nose was broken in 3 places on the other side of my friggin' face. I dropped to the ground. I didn't know if it was broken at the time, but I dropped down to the ground and I could just feel something hit my nose. Like, God, this hurts. It honestly didn't really hurt that bad. It just felt uncomfortable, but I could feel in my hands. I could feel fluid. I could feel warm liquid.
That's never a good thing.
No, like I could feel warm liquid pooling into my hand. And the thing is, my nose has been broken before. And so like, it doesn't bleed very easy. And so I could feel this warm liquid pull. I was like, oh no. So then I pull up, I can see blood in my hands covered, and I turn and I look at the wall, and everybody in the wall sees my face and
They go, oh.
they gasp. They go, oh. They like turn away as if like I'm
That's
like,
how you know.
I'm a monster. I'm like, yeah. I was like, oh no. So then like I get up, and my partner.
Did it get real silent? It's really
kind
silent.
of, yeah, kind
it
of.
always does.
My partner, he's looking at me like, whoa, bro, I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, why'd you bring your knee up? He goes, I don't know. And I was like, dude, it's okay. Here. And I just basically had someone come clean it up. I was like, guys, get back to rolling. I was like, get back to training. Like, training session's not over.
Business as usual.
Business as usual, right? Like, keep going. So they got back to rolling. I went in the back and I looked at my nose, was all like messed up or whatever, but I didn't get angry. I didn't get angry at him. I said, man, it happens.
Yeah.
Accident,
Yeah.
I didn't get him like, bro, what are you doing? Why did you friggin' knee me in the face? A younger person would have done that. And you see that all the time. Someone like some brand new white belt comes in and like, this is a bad thing for coaches. They'll take a brand new white belt, put them into a full rolling situation and wonder why they don't do something. It's like, imagine giving someone a basketball who's never played basketball, doesn't know the rules. You teach them how to do a free throw shot. And you say, hey, let's play a game of basketball. Why aren't you dribbling, bro? You stop fouling.
Yeah.
You can't, like, they wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't take someone in jiu-jitsu and say, hey, here, man, here's how to do an armbar. Good job. Cool. Now let's do a full roll from the feet. Don't expect them to like know what they're doing. And if they give you an accidental elbow, well, shame on you. You can make them do situational rolling,
right.
but don't let them roll full speed everywhere because it's probably going to happen. And so you can't get, bro, why don't you stop spazzing out? Like, they don't want to spaz out. You just haven't shown what they're supposed to do. Now, sometimes there are people that are a little bit more wild, but there's ways to calm them down.
Yep.
But yeah, so again, going back to it, like, it's a good time when bad things like that in the gym happen to test your mental resolve and your mental control, to be like, I'm in control, because that's going to happen whether it's a competition, training session, off the mats in your daily life. You're going to get to points where your emotions and frustration want to take over. And if you're trying to get better with this, both mentally and physically, one of the things you need to take out of this is you need to be in control of who you are. And when you feel it coming up, you got to be aware of it. And you basically got to set mental guards at the post and be like, when that emotion is trying to take over, like, nope, not today. Take a breath, settle down, and react from a place of thoughtful, conscious action rather than just impulsive, emotional, charged frustration, whatever it might be.
Well, and you have a good awareness of that too. Like, building that takes time and it's difficult.
Of course.
But as a coach, you may see that. You may see people going hard. And we had that even like, we had that purple belt, that brown belt promotion class kind of, and everybody was just going like,
getting after it, bro.
First round, we had like 2 people pop something.
Yeah, dude, it's like, dude,
and it was like, and you had to like kind of address it like, hey, this is not the time to do, be aggressive, but don't, take care of your partners kind of thing. And I'm sure you've seen people at the gym going really hard and you've kind of had to separate or take a break, that kind of thing. So I think being a coach and going through that, you're more aware.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to one thing. And we kind of touched on a little bit, but here's the thing. So you roll with that guy, so he had a neck issue, right? Not even the fact that
he didn't have a neck issue. He just had something, but something was wrong.
Well, whatever was going on. Is say somebody has a neck problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And they attack your neck. Is that a dick move for them to attack your neck if you can't attack theirs?
It depends on so here's what it depends on. So for instance,
I think it should be fair. So it was what I'm saying.
It's so hard to quantify, but it's like dancing, right? So let's say that you're dancing with someone and you and this person find you're moving around, as a guy, you put your hands in certain places where they're okay with it. If it's a man and a woman, as a guy, we're putting our hands where they basically allow us to, right? Like, let's be honest. They're like
the butt.
Yeah. The butt. We'll go for the butt. Like, no, like they grab your hands.
You got to go right away.
If you go for the butt and they pull your hands up to the waist, then that is the border. Like you do not go down below stairs.
Test it a little.
But you try, like, no, not in public. But
anyway, be appropriate with your significant.
Right? It's this exchange, right? It's this dance, right? We're saying, okay, cool. This is where we're sticking with. If you get into the role with someone, it's kind of like that, where basically you begin to find a rhythm with each other. So for instance, if you say I'm injured, what that tells me is I'm not going to be rolling as hard as possible because I've got an injury somewhere. Right. Whether it might be my shoulder, whatever. Cool. Now, sometimes you got to tell guys, like I have guys in the gym, like one of the guys, Jeff, who he's a gamer. And if he's injured, he's like, he doesn't care that he's injured. He's letting you know that something's hurt. He's still going to come at you hard, but he's hurt in some place. And I had to tell him, Jeff, just slow down because I don't want you to get hurt even more. Right. But he loves
he doesn't have that.
I know he just loves getting after it. He's gotten better, but he just loves getting after it.
Well, he's getting older. Thank goodness.
Yeah. But I know, right. But when you tell me you're injured, that tells me, okay, I need to slow down a little bit for this person. So to me, if you tell someone you're injured, then you should basically start the roll kind of slow and then work up to kind of a flow. Now, this is hard to do in the beginning, but as you get more experience, you can work up to a speed that's comfortable. Yep. And I wouldn't be as aggressive with the submission because, again, it doesn't mean I can't submit you. I'm just not going to be as aggressive with them because I need to make sure that, like, you know, again, if I'm trying to make sure you're not aggressive with a submission, I shouldn't be aggressive with a submission. I might go for one. And like, for instance, if I told someone, for instance, hey, my shoulders hurt right here, doesn't mean I might not attack you. And if you told me, hey, Chewy, my neck's a little sore, I'll let you attack my neck. Okay. No biggie. To me, it more comes down to how you approach the roll. Okay. If you're telling me you're injured, that signifies to me, I need to be slower so I can be more mindful of your body. And so I would appreciate it if you do the same to mine. Because if you're telling me to be easier on you, but then you're going to go like crazy hard on me, then to me, it's like, hey, like, then we're basically like, you know, to me, that doesn't make sense because then you're basically asking me to do something and you're not doing in kind. And so to me, that's where it kind of like becomes a problem because everybody's kind of seen the guy there. I think there was the Jiu-Jitsu video out there where the guy's like, hey man, if you could be, you know, basically names every single part of his body. I'm just kind of hurt right here. So he can just go slow and then goes crazy hard. You're like, bro, like you told me everything's hurt. Like, why are you going crazy hard?
Right. You're kind of taking away my weapons.
Exactly. You're taking away my weapons, but you're going to try to beat me up. Right. Like, this isn't fun.
And I've done like, you know, they'll say it's my right shoulder or something. So like if I get in a place where I'm like, I grab something, like I'll pause. I'll say, is this the shoulder? And if it is, I'll let go or we'll reset. Yeah. There was one day, Gary, one of the guys at the gym, his arm was messing up a little bit. Yeah. He'd pitched for years and had some elbow issues. They got fixed. He's done with them now, but I taped his arm up. Yeah. Like, cause I was rolling with him. Like with the,
with white tape. I basically put a white band around his elbow because it was on his gi. Yeah. So I put a white band of duct tape around his gi just so I knew which arm was hurt. So I didn't touch it. And basically also because Gary didn't want to tell other people because he didn't want anybody to take it easy on him, kind of, so to speak. But I said, listen, guys, I was like, roll business as usual. Just don't attack the arm with the white band. Yeah. Everything else is good. Yeah. You know, because he's not going to slow down, but just don't attack the white band.
Me and him did one-handed. So like, I was like, all right, so which arm is it? I like put it in your gi or put it in your belt. And I put mine in my belt and we did, but we both went one arm. It was kind of fun. Yeah. But yeah.
And this goes to being a good training partner. So like, just like you don't use certain techniques in the gym so you don't risk injury unnecessarily. With your training partners, you know, you're going to have to learn. This is something that every single one of us is going to have to learn as we get older. You know, not even older, if you're just older in the sport, because you might be young and be like, oh man, my body's fine. Trust me. When I was 18 years old training, I heard the 30-year-old, 35, 40-year-olds talking about this kind of stuff. Never understood it. But if you want to make this stuff for the long haul, you're going to have to adapt. Yes. And so you're going to have to learn to train, like, adjust with your training partner. Sometimes you're going to have to go easier so they can stay on the mat. And, you know, it'll be good because then you can do the same. You know, for instance, like we have that culture in the gym where if someone's hurt, you're like, all right, well, what can we do? Right. Like, all right. So it's like, I can't roll full speed. Well, this is boring. You know, it's like, no, we can do something. And I'll tell you right now, some of my like best techniques have come from like these playful rounds where I'm flowing with people, where I'm just messing around. I'm not really going for anything. It's like, I'll let them get something on me and I'm just kind of moving around and see what happens. So
yeah. And one more thing, like this is a kind of a white belt tip. Okay. I would say.
Is this a pro tip like mine?
Pro tip. But this actually is a pro tip.
Is this a rider downer?
Rider downer.
Okay.
Here's what I got. Right. So I was rolling with one of our white belts yesterday and I had pretty much like I had a submission locked out. And I stopped and I looked at him and I was like, don't make me, I don't want to crank. So I would turn a little bit. And afterwards I kind of talked to him and I was like, hey, you're young. You can take it. I would eat submissions too when I was younger. If you don't, I mean, if you're locked out, like you're starting to understand, you're getting a few stripes on your belt, you're understanding, be a good training partner that way. If you feel like you're caught, tap, don't like, because you're really forcing the other person. Some ways they'll let go, but sometimes they'll just hold it and they'll they'll snug it up a little more. So if you feel like you're completely caught, like be a good training partner and tap. Don't force them to extend and maybe even hurt you. Yep. So some people will let go. Some people will not. I don't think it's wrong either way.
Well, and some people don't know because, for instance, you have the luxury of having, tons of years of experience. So know that you're caught. Plus, with your level of control in that position,
you stop and you look.
Yeah, right. Your level of control is so high. You give it to let's say two white belts are battling for each other, right? And they're both very evenly skilled. They get a hold of that arm bar. They don't have the ability to slow things down enough to slowly apply that submission as you could. And so they're probably going to go back faster, not to pop your arm, but because they know that they might lose a position if they don't do it. And everybody likes to win. Everybody likes to put a couple points on the board. So again, when your arm gets locked out, you tap. And again, here's the thing about that. Like I hear people say all the time, like, "Oh, I don't like going for leg locks because you don't know that it hurts and it doesn't hurt, and all of a sudden it pops." That's every submission. Like I don't wait till my arm is hurting to tap.
Right.
Like if my arm is straight, I tap because that's the point where I've lost control of the whole thing. It's at the in range. I don't wait till it hurts. It's like it's tight, I tap. And again, once you know what a heel hook is supposed to feel like, and you know the position, and you were educated on the whole entanglement of the legs, you understand when it's tight and when it's not, right? And you don't know when to tap. Very simple. But also for some of you guys that maybe are younger and maybe you try to like squeak it out a little bit. The negative side to that is like right now when you're younger, you won't feel any problems at all. Like you could probably take a little arm pop here and there. Here's the problem. You'll probably get down later in your life and you'll probably experience a lot of bone spurs and
trauma to little micro trauma to the joints.
Yeah, because I've met several friends of mine who have had situations where essentially they got their arm popped because they were really stubborn. And then what ended up happening is they got to the point where they physically could not extend their arm past a certain, it was like very little, like they lost a lot of range of motion and they had to get in there, scrape out bone spurs.
Sure.
And so again, that's because they pop, you're doing all this damage to the joint, and the joint's like, basically coming in there and
you're overextending, you're stressing it. So what does bone do? Bone, you kind of lay more bone down. It's not smooth bone. It's just not good. It's not good to the joint itself. And it's not good to the surrounding ligaments to, if you constantly get your arms popped, you're stressing the ligaments too. And the tendons. So you're loosening everything. It's like getting like Laffy Taffies, getting stretched out a little bit so you get more lax.
Yeah. So be intelligent with your bone suit, your flesh suit.
Your flesh bones. And I'll tell you, I learned that from you actually, from the letting go or from like just stopping. Because you've done that to me before. Yeah. You got me in a submission and I'm like, usually, I'll fight out, but like you kind of look at me. And we kind of like, we share that eye contact. Well, like you stop and like, because usually you get a submission, you're going to keep moving towards extending or finishing it, right? You get it and you stop. And so when you stop, I know, all right, this is not the opportunity for me to get out. This is, it's over.
Well, and also sometimes I'll get to that in range where I'm holding and I'm like, all right, let's give them a second and see if they can wiggle their way out. Maybe a hitchhiker or something like that. Right. And let's see what happens. But if it's like 1,000, 2,000, if within a good solid second or two, two is like too much, but a good solid second, 1,000, one Mississippi. If in that time you have not been able to successfully begin to initiate an escape, you're done.
And you feel like you're locked out. You should feel like you're locked out.
Yeah, you're done. Right. That's it. No mas. Like it's like, for instance, your arm gets fully extended and you were unable, they have control of your wrist. So you're unable to hitchhiker. Right. You're unable to remove the bottom leg to whatever. You're done. That's it. No more. That's it. Just wrap it up.
The cue for me is like when you stop moving. If it's locked out and you stop moving, then I know it's probably done. If you're still moving towards like tightening it up, then then I'm still working.
Because if there's movement involved, then there's still a chance. But once everything's locked in place, that's basically where I stop. Because essentially, if I was going full speed, then I would engage my hips and everything else to it, and there would be it.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So this is the last one. We'll end on this. This is not jiu-jitsu related, but MMA related. What about, and this is kind of within the rules, but is it kind of a dick move? So somebody gets knocked out. The classic is Dan Henderson with Mike Bisping, right? He knocks him out and then he's already down, knocked out, and he goes in and hits him again numerous times.
That ref doesn't step in, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing,
man. See, some fighters will step away and they'll just like, they knocked him out and they let the ref get in.
Yep.
Again, you run the risk of them kind of popping back up, waking up, right?
Happens all the time. Well, and and sometimes like it's easy for people to look at it and see like what's going on. But when you're in the fight, you don't have that bird's eye view. You're pumped with adrenaline, you're going. And the thing is there's times where like maybe you hit someone and you hit them and they're back and they're basically they're flat-footed.
Right.
And so you don't actually, you didn't knock them out on the feet. You just dropped them, but it was because they were off balance.
Yeah.
So then you better close in and finish it. Right. Whereas other times they're knocked out on the feet. You don't know that. Right. And unless the ref steps in, the fight is still going. Right. And it just is what it is. It's not it's a combat sport, you know? And so no, it's not a dick move at all. And again, when you think about what we do is in fighting, combat sports, jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, MMA, the whole deal, judo, sambo, we're in a parallel universe. If you think about it, right? Because for instance, your day-to-day life, you will not do anything that you do in the gym to someone just randomly, you know, right. You're not going to do it randomly to someone on the street. We are governed by rules that are not the norm. Right. So when you're fighting, you were in a parallel universe, bro. I mean, like we're literally doing things that would get us criminally charged.
Yes.
I thought about that all the time. I'd be getting ready to fight someone. I'm like, I'm doing something that if we did this 10 feet over, we would be literally charged with assault or something, right? They would lock us up. But right now it's okay. Right. Like for instance, like they would try to like, if you put someone in a choke, they'd probably get you for attempted murder for some random person. Unless you were defending yourself, they'd probably get you for something really bad because you're attacking someone. But in our space, it's completely normal. It's the norm, right? So we are in a parallel universe. And so the rules that govern us are different in those settings. And so, so like what's considered, you know, norm is different. Sure. You know, we're trying in an MMA fight, you're trying to knock the person out and do damage to them in any way, shape, or form that you can within the confines of the rules in order to win the match. Same thing in jiu-jitsu. And I mean, there's a lot of gritty stuff that you can do in grappling. I mean, like, you know, we're talking about cross faces, forearms and elbows kind of grinding in, chins to the cheek, you know, heavy shoulder presser where you're driving that front delt right into the side of their face. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, someone puts a body triangle onto you and they're I mean, dude, it makes you feel like you're just your bowels are going to release, right? I mean, like it's tough stuff. So it's not an easy sport. I don't know. This is just something where, I mean, I know a lot of people come into this and there's this I mean, all of us that do it are typically, we're all like having fun and smiling. And especially the guys that have been training for a long time, we're having a blast with each other. Yeah. At the same token, it's a really rough sport. I know this, what is it? People say the gentle way, the soft way, whatever. The gentle art. It's garbage. It's not gentle. There's nothing gentle about it. You know, there's nothing gentle about it. It's a rough freaking sport. It has it's the beautiful thing with all the technique and everything else, but it's not a gentle art. Yeah. You know, it's not, it is what it is. Like there's takedowns, slams, joint rips and everything else. I mean, it's a tough sport. And so, you know, that just is what it is. You know, now we try to, you know, any good gym will try to do the same thing where you try to acclimate people to higher and higher levels of that stress. But, you know, it's a tough thing. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things where, you know, you have to get ready for that. And, you know, don't be so quick to criticize people just because they got a little rowdy, because that's not uncommon. You know, someone that, again, if you haven't trained professionally or been around professional fighters or professional grapplers, it may seem very like offsetting to you. Maybe puts like some, ooh, why are they, whatever. That just happens sometimes. You know, it just does. I mean, it may have happened in your gym, obviously, with people that are just hobbyists, but a lot of times if you're a hobbyist, you don't have as much wrapped up into that thing as some of these fighters do. Yeah. And so when they do that, don't necessarily criticize them, because again, if someone came in and let's say something that you are really good at, something that you identify, let's say, for instance, some guys comes in here and says, your physical therapy, you suck. You suck at physical therapy. It would bother you, because that's something you do. You're very good at it. You're like, I went to school for 10 years, whatever. You know, if someone came in and into your place where your craft, your thing that you have developed and told you that, like, it's gonna bother you a little bit. And so then you're gonna be, okay, yeah, is that so? Huh, okay. You know, so just something to think about. I always try to put myself in someone else's shoes before I try to wag the finger. So that's all for me.
I think it's great, because we were going to talk about the video with Orlando and Sean last week. Yeah. And you're like, I told you, hey, don't jump the gun yet. Let's just wait for a second. And we saw Orlando kind of hinting at something, and I was like, and then afterwards I was like, good call, Chewy. I just know, dude. It's I don't know, like, I guess like being one of the first to react to something or respond to something, you could either be, see, I told you guys so, versus you could be really, I mean, you're risking it a lot because you don't know the whole situation. So
here's what it is. Everybody's trying to be first. Yeah. Because if we can, because here's what
I told you so.
Well, that, or really in our space, Really, it's not even about I told you so. Everybody's trying to jump on the virality of the video.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's viral. There's millions of views going in. So if I put up a video, then I'm going to get some of those views and people will see me.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, dude, step back and wait. It's like when these news outlets, they'll take a clip of a video or something and they'll run with it. And then like later on, it comes out that like, you know, like this guy that we were like, this happened, that guy just murdered someone.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, wait a second, like, let's wait until all the facts come out. It's not about being first. Yep. It's about being thoughtful about what it is. And so again, we're all guilty of it. We've all done it before, but like, it's like, you got to take that step back. Cause like, I mean, if you just think about it, whatever, I don't know when you're listening to this, cause this video and podcast will be out for a long time, right? If you're sitting around right now, and there's some big buzz in the news right now. Oh, it's the thing. It's coming and it's bad and everything is and this person's evil. Whatever the bullshit thing that's going on. Right. Like, think back to 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Was it even on the radar? But it wasn't. Right. And then 2 weeks from now, see if it's on the radar. 4 weeks from now, see if it's even around. Right. But it's not. You know, with some exceptions, of course. Most of the time this stuff passes. And it's like the big issue, the biggest issue that's ever been there, right? Was 2 weeks ago, and it's everything.
Now it's the next thing.
Now it's the next thing. It's the cycle. And so you've got to separate yourself from that and basically be like, again, this goes back to being awareness. Am I in control of my emotions right now? Am I in control of the situation? Am I really giving like a thoughtful approach to it, right? Or am I reacting because something happened in a clip or in a story or whatever? And I don't really know all the facts, but I'm just simply reacting because of my base instinct. I'm reacting on my gut.
Right.
Take a step back, be thoughtful about it, and take your time. And so that's why I felt better doing the video and the podcast about this thing after I knew a little bit more about it. And it seems like there's some you got a better list. I mean, I still would like to know what Sean thought about the whole thing, but at least you got to see what Orlando said happened, at least in some respect. So it seems like, you know, you got a couple guys that were butting heads in the gym, and afterwards they're cool. Right. And you know what it is? It happens sometimes. That's how, I mean, like, hell, I mean, some of the guys that I've had some of the roughest sparring sessions with where we battered each other, some of the kids when I was in high school and in middle school who I fought with, we became best friends. You know, a lot of times men are very physical. And sometimes when we beat each other up, it kind of like, it's cool, bro.
You have a deeper respect.
It's something very primal, dude. Very, very, very primal about it, you know, and that's why I don't necessarily see, like, sometimes when you see like physicality and sometimes stuff like that, I don't look at it as such a negative thing, because it's something it's very human, you know, it's very, very human, you know. And I think that a lot of times when you give it a good outlet, even sometimes where it comes out and some of the negative sides comes out, I think a lot of times it's still overall a good thing. Cause like you said, they made up, they were fine afterwards. So it's just something that happened, and, you know, that was that. But, you know, take some lessons for jiu-jitsu away, but also, like, you know, take some lessons away from letting your emotions get played with all the time, you know, from clips and stuff that's designed to get you to get an emotional response out of you. Distance yourself from it, be in control of who you are, just like you're supposed to be in control of who you are when you're on the mat training with someone, where you don't want to get too crazy with one of your best friends or whatever it is. You know, we're always trying to be in better control of ourselves. We're trying to be in control of ourselves on the mat, control of ourselves off the mat, control of our partner when we're doing things. We want to get control. It's position before submission, right? Yep. Be in the best position possible on and off the mats, be in control of yourself.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hopefully gave you a couple useful ideas or thought-provoking ideas to chew on. You know, again, you may disagree with me on some of this stuff. You may agree with me. I don't know. But again, it's not a right or wrong, just some thoughts on it. But again, thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Big thanks to our sponsor, Charlotte's Web. Again, we talked about it on the podcast earlier today. If you want to check it out and see if the benefits work for you, like it did for Robert, like it does for me, go to Charlotte's Web's website, Charlotte's Web's. I'm having trouble with my words again.
Do it.
I need to go back to that trailer behind my elementary school. Yeah, maybe it didn't work so well. Did we talk about that on the podcast? We did. Okay.
I know about the trailer.
All right, inside joke.
I made fun of you about it.
I know you did.
A little bit.
Awful person. charlottesweb.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu. Save 20%, not 15, 20% on the order for the month of June in 2021. So if you want to save a little extra money and try it out for the first time, or just re-up, do it now. The best time. And then epicrollbjj.com. Promo code is Chewjitsu. Save 15% off of jiu-jitsu gear, clothing, gis, fanny packs. You want one?
However you want to wear it.
That's right. It's not.
We're not judging.
On the side or front. And you can get your hands on those. 15% off the price with the promo code Jiu-Jitsu at checkout. Also, all this, of course, supports the podcast as well. Patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Every week, every Wednesday, we upload some extra piece of content. Sometimes it's a workout video. Sometimes we put workout plans up there. Sometimes it's things where we have a guest share some ideas on the podcast. About training and everything else that might be useful to you. Sometimes it's just some rambly stuff that we put on there. It's a myriad of videos and audio content that you can get access to. It's been building up for over 2 years now. And so if you'd like to get access to that, you can do so by going to patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. And I just got back to getting back to the Zoom Hangouts.
Zoom calls.
I kind of got away from it a little bit, where basically you can just chat with me in person. We had one for about 30 minutes just the other day, and I got some good stuff in there. And so again, it's a small group, and so it's kind of cool, get to hang out with people and kind of go over some stuff. And if you guys want to join my email list and get information on all the stuff that I have going on, including the upcoming Jiu-Jitsu camp at my gym, it's August the 27th through the 29th. If you'd like to get updates on that and have a chance to actually get there, because I'm only going to have limited spots online. So it's going to be like first come, first serve. And that'll be on jiu-jitsu.net. And then you can click on free ebooks, sign up there, or on social media. I'll have options there.
We have a link somewhere we can maybe add.
Yeah, I'll have a link in the show notes too.
Okay, we'll do that.
We can put that in there. So.
Yeah, I'll put that in there.
So that's it. So guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll talk to you next week.